Rod White for Mining Journal, and I'm pleased to have with me Alex Sukernik, who's the Chief Executive of Nova Royalty. And Nova Royalty is a very interesting company because it's the only one of 41 royalty companies that is dedicated to copper and nickel. So, Alex, why Nova?
Thanks, Rod. It's always good to be here. Nova is a very simple proposition. We started up in 2018 with the objective of becoming the best exposure to the energy transition. And the way we wanted to do that was get royalties on the next generation of copper and nickel projects, which were going to drive the entire energy transition from fossil fuels to electrification. And so what we've done, we now own royalties on 5 of the top 10 open pit copper development projects in the Americas, including arguably 3 of the most advanced in Taca Taca, Josemaria, and Copper World. We've really sought out the families of the original prospectors who found these assets and sold them to the majors often generations ago. It's not possible to get royalties on top-notch assets by walking into the majors themselves, because they will never sell royalties on their prized assets. But if you reach out to the families who had these royalties in the family for a while, and we've been able to acquire them for a mix of cash and shares and really build relationships with them, then it's created a compelling one-of-a-kind portfolio that's only positioned to grow from here.
Well, you can't do that again because the families can only sell the royalties once.
Correct.
But the families that held the royalties now hold Nova shares.
Correct.
And they're loyal shareholders.
Exactly. So, oftentimes, when a royalty sits in the family for a long time, it really becomes a part of the family. So they don't want to sell it just for cash. They ideally get a mix of cash and shares so they can then retain exposure to that royalty, plus other similar top-notch royalties within Nova's portfolio. And that's really been the impetus for why multiple families have sold their families for shares.
But the interesting thing is that those families have taken Nova shares.
Correct.
So their interests are aligned with yours, and you are really holding royalties on very large projects.
Correct.
Not a portfolio of a lot of projects.
So the families that sell us the assets, again, the assets have really been in the family often from 20, 30, 50 years. So it's something that's fundamentally associated kind of with their everyday life. They really don't want to lose their exposure forever. So by vending into Nova, and they really believe in what we're doing, they're continuing to participate in those assets and other premium assets as shareholders rather than individual royalty holders.
Yeah, but the judgment that they've made is that with Nova's support, these projects will be coming into production. But
Correct.
with copper projects, it can take 10, 20 years, but once you're in production for 50 or 100 years. So
Well,
they're very different to gold or other metal projects.
oh, absolutely. I mean, there's really nothing like a producing copper royalty on a major project, because a major copper project is a keystone asset for a major company. So they keep on investing and reinvesting through multiple commodity cycles, and you're able, as a royalty holder, you're able to participate in all that asset expansion, multiple commodity price cycles. And if you look at some mines, there's mines that have been producing since the 19th century in copper. So we have a portfolio of premier projects that are really the core of the pipeline for the Western world for the 2020s and beyond. And we're very excited about what that means.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is that the market valuation of Nova does not reflect this because you're at something like a 65% discount to your net asset value. And that net asset value rises as the projects advance. So it's really a one-way street from here, is it not, Alex?
Look, absolutely in our mind. I mean, when you look at the macroeconomic environment, there's been so much worry about everything geopolitical and economic. I think people have sort of lost sight of fundamental values. But when you look at the major copper assets, these are really some of the most essential mineral assets in the world, because copper is the central element in the entire energy transition from electric vehicles to wind to solar. And the major copper projects are very scarce and unique. The industry builds less than one mine per year globally, and you're going to need an average 3 to 4 by 2040 to actually achieve the goals of the energy transition. So we're very happy with the quality of our portfolio and how it's advancing to our production, and we think the years will show its value through and through.
But you don't have jurisdiction risk because your projects are all in the Americas.
Well, it's very critical, especially in today's world, to select projects in the safest jurisdictions because the industry certainly the industry is under ever more scrutiny. So we've picked projects in jurisdictions that are the most supportive of mining. So that's Chile, that's Arizona in the U.S., that's the better parts of Argentina, such as Salta and San Juan. And really, you have to be very choosy about the political and social environment that you're entering into, from the federal level to the provincial level to the local level, social, the business community, every man on the street. You really have to be in places where you're wanted, because for the big companies to commit the capital, they have to go and see a 30, 50-year runway of support in order to do that. So given what we see in the places where we are, there's large companies endorsing those jurisdictions, but investing significant capital, whether that's in Arizona, whether that's in Salta, San Juan, or in Chile. So we really feel like we're in the best places for major copper project development in the world.
And I would say that in those jurisdictions, the projects will proceed because the copper is needed and the nickel. But that's all we have time for. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.